Yes. So now the post session question and answer session begins. People who want to, log off or drop off, feel free. Don't worry, this is recorded. So I'm going to share the recording, but people who are interested to participate in this Q&A are welcome to stay back. Yes, guys, shoot. Questions.
Devanshu, when you are trying to attach the SAP HANA system there,
Yes.
sometimes the HANA system comes and sometimes the HANA system doesn't come. So is there any prerequisite that when you want to add a SAP HANA system to the project,
Yes, there is a prerequisite. Correct. That's a good question. The prerequisite is, and for me, it did not come. Why it did not come? The reason it did not come is because I have not added my system in the development or modular perspective in the systems. If you add the system here, your HANA system here, add new system, and if you give the host name, instance number, and you add it here, you will be able to attach. Now, that HANA system, what you are adding, should be the underlying HANA system of that particular application. Okay. Only then you can attach it. Say, for example, I add a HANA system which has nothing to do with BW. It's a separate HANA system. Then attach HANA system will not show you that. So there are two prerequisites. First prerequisite, you have to add it here. Now in my training server, as I told you, there is a port issue, right? That's why I'm not able to add the HANA system here. That's why I have to navigate to the VDI to access this. That's why I'm not able to attach. So that's the first prerequisite. Add your HANA system here. Second prerequisite is that HANA system has to be the underlying HANA system of the application, not some other HANA system. So if both these prerequisites are met, then you can see the system and then you can attach.
And one more question, what about the DB sync? I mean, the same user of the application should go into our the HANA DB, right? So
that's right. So good question, guys. So just for everybody's understanding, what he's asking is, what about the user ID which accesses the HANA database of BW? Okay, you have to be very clear on that, and that is the reason I showed you the architecture of BW for HANA. This BW owned schema, right, is owned by a user. So this BW owned schema, what did we see? The BW owned schema. The BW owned schema is, what is the BW owned schema?
SAP HANA DB.
Correct. SAP HANA DB. So in the properties, let me load the properties again. Okay, so it's loading here. Okay, let me go to the BW modeling perspective. Okay, so you see here, the schema is SAP HANA DB. Now the schema is also a user ID. Okay, so if I have to go back here, if you go in the security under users, okay, if I try to find a user, and if I say SAP HANA DB, so you can see that there is also a user ID for the schema. In HANA, by default, every schema will have a corresponding user ID with the same name. Okay, so that user ID is the user ID which is talking to the HANA database on behalf of your application server. So when I said BW owned schema, that means the user ID owned schema. The SAP HANA DB is the schema and also the user ID who owns that schema. So this communication which is happening between ABAP application server and HANA database is happening via the SAP HANA DB user, not the user ID which I have logged in. See, I have logged in with BW for HANA 3. That will be used to create the objects. Okay, so I will be owner of the objects. But when the data will be fetched from the HANA DB, whenever I do a data preview or whenever there is an activation of the ADSO, all the tables and everything, whatever is in the backend, it's happening. That is happening with the SAP HANA user ID. So you have to make sure that SAP HANA user ID has necessary privileges. If you want to work with your native HANA, if you want to work with some external schema, then that particular user ID, like for example, SDA virtual tables. So this particular user ID, SAP HANA DB, should have necessary privileges for you to work with external schemas and external objects.
I mean, just a note, Dibanshu, if you can share us, there is a concept called now, syncing the application user to the DB user, or our same user ID, named user, like it.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
if you can
That is
just make
that
a
is in
note,
the DBMS. DBMS, you do that.
yeah, if you can just make a note, or if you find any, have any article on it, or if you have anything readily available, if you can share that.
Okay, sure. I'll let me make a note of that. I'll give you the details. So basically, what you are talking about is that in the let me
SU0.
let me go to SU01.
There is a tab called DBMS.
Yes, but that tab is not by default activated. You have to do
Yeah,
certain steps for the tab to be activated. Once you activate them, then the same application user will be created or can be created as a HANA-DB user. Yeah, you're right. So what the gentleman is talking about is, say for example, you can check the user ID details in SU01. Okay, I'll just display this. So in SU01, you will see the details of the user ID. Now, there are different tabs here: documentation, address, logon data, SNC defaults, etc. There is also a tab which is not by default activated, which is called DBMS. I think that's the name, if I'm not wrong. In that, you can map the application user, whatever the application user is BW for HANA 3. And if you want to create a corresponding HANA DB user, then you have to do two steps. Step number one, you have to activate the DBMS tab here. And there are a couple of steps here. Okay, there's a table. In that table, you have to maintain the entry. Once the entry is maintained and activated, that is a config table. Then you will see that tab. Once you see the tab, then you will be able to map the same user ID. There's an easy way. In bulk, you can do that, or single user, you can do that as well. Both are possible. You can create the HANA DB user with the same name. That is what the gentleman is referring to, syncing the application users with the HANA DB users. That's also possible. If you don't want that SAP HANA DB to be the only user who's communicating, you want the individual application users also to be created as the HANA DB users, then you do this particular steps. You may perform these steps. If you want further details on it, I'll give you the details.
So in what scenario we'll do this? We'll use this generally in business scenario.
Yeah, go ahead. Someone wants to answer that?
I mean, just in case if you want to do again a native modeling, again you don't need to go ahead and create a new user again. Then your application user and your native modeling user will be different. So in this case, if you can sync your application user and the DB user, and you give the right privileges to your DB user, which is again nothing but your application user, you can do the native modeling directly with the application user. I guess this is one of the scenario that I can think of.
Correct.
Sure.
Exactly. See, native HANA modeling, you can also do with SAP HANA DB, which is your user. Like native HANA modeling, if you want to make sure that you don't switch users, or you don't have to make sure that some other user has necessary privileges, you want to work with only one user ID, which is same in your application also and your native HANA DB also, then you do this syncing. Yeah, so that's correct. That's most frequently used scenario for this.
In this case, do we need to create the user in HANA DB, the same user?
Yes, you need to. And there's an easier way to do. That easier way is called that syncing. So there's I think there's a program. Once you do this DBMS activation, then you can create in bulk. So for example, if you have 50 users using BW for HANA, now all the 50 users, you also want to create a HANA DB user, then you can easily in bulk use that program, and it will sync that user ID and create a HANA DB user ID for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the privileges also assigned automatically, Dibanshu, or it will different? The privileges for native HANA.
Yeah, privileges. So as part of that generation program, the privileges are also assigned to the native HANA DB. But if you want separate additional privileges for the native HANA user, you can also do that via your analytic privileges in a native HANA. Same thing will happen when you will generate the CV from your ADSO or you will generate the calculation view from your composite provider. It also generates the privileges if you have defined any analytic privileges, analysis authorizations. If you have defined any analysis authorizations in BW, those will be taken and analytic privileges will be created. So it happens at the time of generation.
So Devanshu, how do we cater HDI containers schemas?
Yeah, that's a good question. So by default, your BW for HANA will not allow to combine 2.0 HDI CVs, okay, HDI container based CVs. You have to activate a setting. So how you activate that setting is, if you go to SPRO, you have to go to SPRO, and within SPRO, you go to SAP reference IMG. Within SAP reference IMG, you have to go to BW for HANA, expand that, go to data modeling, expand that, and there is a setting which is called setting for consumption of HANA views. By default, it will only be for Access Classic. It will not be for HANA 2.0 HDI CVs. But if you want to use your HDI CVs in your BW, then you have to select either second or third. Second means you can only use the 2.0 HDI CVs. But if you have a hybrid scenario, meaning you have a mixed scenario, you have classic CVs and you have HDI CVs both, which is possible, by the way. Then you will go for hybrid mode, where it will allow HDI and Access both. Once you have this setting and save it, then your composite provider, when you will try to add a HANA CV, it will start showing you the HDI HANA 2.0 CVs.
Okay, got that.
Okay.
So what is that HDI?
Okay, so for that you have to know the concept of HANA 2.0. So in HANA 2.0, the sysbig concept is gone. So whenever you are activating the calculation view or any procedure or anything, calculation views specifically, they by default go to _sys_bic schema, right? A column view is created. And then you will define analytic privileges and you will provide the role, and in the role you will give the privileges, etc. So on and so forth. In 2.0, that concept is gone. In 2.0, now when you activate a calculation view, it will not go to your _sys_bic. It will go to a container schema. It's also a schema. At the database, it's a schema, but it is not a fixed standard schema. No, every time every developer can have his or her own containers, and that container will basically have a schema in the backend. So there's a design time container, there's a runtime container. Design time container means the container in which you do your modeling on the web IDE. Okay. Once you activate that CV in the web IDE, a runtime container gets created with a big name, and that's not a sysbig kind of a name. It's a hash kind of a name, and that container will get created, and that container is transported to further targets. So that means the entire concept of sysbig is revamped, is gone. Now every developer can have his or her own container, and why this is done? Basically to enable the cloud computing concepts, the microservices concept. So in HANA 2.0, the microservices has come into picture. And when you talk about microservices, 12-factor application, the microservices will mandate that every development should have its own container so that it is independent from other containers and multiple developers can work on the same thing without impacting each other. That's why this HDI container concept has been introduced. It is all DevOps. So if you have worked on DevOps, this is a very common concept. Containerization, Kubernetes is there. You will have your microservices. You have to attach the service to the container or attach the service to the synonym of the container. So all those concepts have come in HANA 2.0. So those container CVs are special CVs. These are not your classic sysbig CVs. That's why in order for you to use, or in order for you to enable BW for HANA to use those CVs, you have to enable this setting. Otherwise, you will not be able to use the new type of CVs, which are HDI container CVs.
So Devanshu, is this a part of before HANA, or this is also a part of like 7.3 or 7.4, 7.5 on HANA?
No, this is a part of 7.5. I think 7.4 I have to check, maybe 7.4 also. This is not only for BW for HANA. Because 7.4, 7.5 can also sit on HANA 2.0, right? Your 7.4 on HANA can have HANA as 2.0, and there also you can have Access Advanced activated. Once you activate Access Advanced, your HDI containers and your GitHub integration, all that will come into picture, and you can easily consume them with this setting. So it is not BW for HANA specific. It is also there in the prior BW versions.
So this is particularly like consuming the calculation view in BW, right? In BW modeling.
Not just calculation view, 2.0 calculation views. See, if you have 1.0 classic calculation views, meaning this is classic, Access Classic. Okay, here if you have this CVs, these are Access Classic CVs which I am creating in HANA Studio. These are not HANA 2.0 HDI CVs because they are created in Web IDE, not in HANA Studio anymore. Okay, this is classic CV. If you want to use this CV, you don't have to do anything. By default, your composite provider, your BW will allow it. But if you have 2.0 HDI CVs, then BW will not allow it by default. Then you have to come here and do the special setting, and then it will start allowing.
Oh, okay. So the way BW consumes HANA CV is basically right now the classic ones, right? I mean
Yes.
Almost many projects where we see that is basically these classical CVs.
Absolutely. And the generated CVs, also there is another important point. The generated CVs from the ADSO or from the composite provider, meaning if you click this box, external SAP HANA view, this will generate a CV. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you are on Access Advanced or HANA 2.0 or whatever version of HANA 2.0, this generated CV will always be Access Classic CV. It will not be Access Advanced CV. Okay. And the reason is SAP has said that you can consume a HANA 2.0 CV in a composite provider, but when a composite provider will generate the CV, that will not be HANA 2.0. That will be classic because there is no usage or there is no feature of HANA 2.0 which is required for the generated CVs. So they have still kept the generated CVs as classic CVs, not 2.0 CVs.
Is there any information? I mean, is there any article on this? I mean, where?
Yes. There's a SAP note. There's a clear-cut SAP note which will give you all the details on this. Okay. If you want, I can get that note for you. Maybe it's there in the material. Just have a look. But yes, there is a clear-cut instruction and there's a clear-cut note on the generated CVs. Okay, if it's not there, I'll find that note for you.
For the classic CVs, they are still using the SysBig schema.
Yes, right? Correct. Absolutely. But if you want to use the classic CV in the 2.0 CV, for example, then you have to create a synonym. There is something called a synonym concept in HANA 2.0. And that synonym will be used in your 2.0 CV. Okay.
Hey, Devanshu.
Yes. Yeah, Suresh, go ahead.
Like we discussed one concept like ODP, right? Operational data provisioning.
Correct.
For data sources.
Correct.
Right. I mean, how does it make it different from the normal standard data sources? Like if I say, like 2LIS11 VA HDR, if this be my data sources, which is actually which comes from my general ECC.
Right.
So how this makes it like different, like this option?
Yeah. So ODP is based on subscription model. Previously, there is nothing called subscription model. Meaning, I'll tell you, you are actually jumping the topic. I have ODP separately. We'll discuss there in detail. But let me quickly show you the difference. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So prior to the ODP framework, this is how things were. So we had our ECC, we have the Delta Q RSA7, and these were application level cluster tables. The Delta Q tables were cluster tables, application level tables. The third-party systems like boards, like DataStage, like Informatica, or other third-party tools, it did not have access to these delta Q tables. Only BW could read the delta Q tables and it could easily store. If the third party systems has to read, then there was a special provision done and other tables created, but these delta Qs were not easily or not seamlessly directly, these third party tools could not use it, okay, because it's proprietary app level cluster tables. That was your prior SAPI concept, SAP Application Programming Interface, which is your default for the data sources. But to solve this problem and also to make it modularized or make it common for everybody to use, the ODP concept was introduced. And in that ODP, now the delta Q tables are gone. The operational delta Q tables have come, which is your ODQ data underscore H, ODQ data underscore there are 2 or 3 types. Okay, one is for full load, one is for delta load. So those tables are now easily exposed to third-party tools also, meaning your bots can connect to the same queue, ODQ. Your Informatica can connect to the same ODQ. Your third-party tools can also connect to the same ODQ. So they have to subscribe to that queue. So there's a concept called subscription-based loading. Your BW for HANA will also subscribe to those queues using Service API. But now other third-party tools can easily subscribe to the ODQs, and same 2LIS11 VHDR can now send data to these guys also without any special provisions. So that is a major change between what previously was there and what ODQ has enabled. So with ODQ now you have single source, single place. These are the sources which are called providers. These are the consumers which are called subscribers. So you can put your data, everything in one place, and all of them can subscribe to the same thing. So reusability has come in and the subscription-based model has come in. Don't worry, we will do the hands-on on this when we will use the ODP.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, any other questions?
Hi, Dipanshu, this is Suresh.
Yes,
I just have a very basic question. Like, all I see the difference is, I'm trying to understand the difference between BW on HANA and B4 HANA. I don't see a compelling reason why a client should invest his time and money on implementing BW for HANA, or maybe I missed it, or it is my misinformation. So can you enlighten me on why or what motivates the client to go for BW for HANA migration or installation?
Great question. Yeah, I did not explain the difference so far. It was covered in the introductory session. So let me go back there. Okay. Now this is a very common question. Okay. That why a client should go for BW for HANA. What is the benefit I will receive with going from BW on HANA to BW for HANA? So this is the question which I discussed in the introductory session. So to answer that question, you have to know the difference between BW on HANA and BW for HANA. So what are the differences? One of the major reasons why BW for HANA will be useful for a client is CDS view based data sources. All the new standard content data sources will be CDS view based. They will no longer be your function module based data sources. And all the new types of data sources which will reuse your S4 HANA CDS views will be given in BW for HANA. They will not be given in BW on HANA. Okay. So if you want to leverage the new concept of CDS views in BW data sources also, and if you want to use the new standard content data sources which are now based on CDS views, you have to go for BW for HANA. It will not be given in BW on HANA. Second, you have very less or streamlined objects. You don't have to deal with multiple types of objects. In BW on HANA, you had InfoCube, you had DSO of different types, you have virtual providers of different type, you have multi-providers, you have info sets, etc. So you had to deal with multiple objects. In BW for HANA, they have consolidated the number of objects to only 4. 2 for persistent, and 2 for your virtual access. Info object and ADSO is for persistent, and OpenODSV and composite provider is for your virtual access. Third reason, BW4HANA cockpit, which is Fiori based, and more people are using S4. They are getting used to Fiori based administration and monitoring. If you want to have that with BW also, BW4HANA is the BW4HANA cockpit is much more matured than the cockpit which was there in BW on HANA. So BW4HANA cockpit is optimized, and also the new tiles, the new feature advancements will be done on for HANA cockpit, not on the on HANA cockpit. Fourth reason, ODP, operational data provisioning. ODP concept is the default for BW for HANA source system. ODP can definitely be enabled for BW on HANA. I'm not saying it is not possible, but you will have a lot of issues. It is not fully matured in BW on HANA. You have to install a lot of SAP nodes. You have to install correction instructions from SAP nodes, and it will not be as seamless to use ODP as it is with BW for HANA, because for BW for HANA, that is the default way to extract data from the SAP source systems. Then there are some miscellaneous, these are the main ones which I can think of. Then there are some other miscellaneous ones also, like field-based modeling. Field-based modeling is not seamless and has a lot of issues in BW on HANA. In BW for HANA, your field-based modeling has been matured, has been evolved, and the staging layer ADSOs are field-based. Even in standard content, you will have staging layer ADSOs as field-based, and that works very well without any issues. If you want to use field-based modeling in BW on HANA, again, you have to install a lot of SAP nodes. You have to go through a lot of hassle to make sure they work properly. And then there is no data flow modeler. In BW for HANA, there is a data flow modeler which eases your development. So this data flow modeler, which I'm showing you here, this is your one-stop shop to do the modeling very easily. In BW on HANA, you have to go to RSA1 and then create individual models. There was no easy data flow modeler. Data flow modeler was there in BW on HANA also, but it was worthless. It was useless. In BW for HANA, the data flow modeler has been enhanced and matured, and this is now a default place where you can create your entire flow easily. Now, where can you see the CDS view based data sources? So that was the first reason I mentioned, right? But CDS view data sources will not be available in S4 HANA. So if you try to search for RSA5, you try to search for a data source in RSA5, you will not be able to see those CDS view based standard content data sources. The place you'll have to come in here is BW for HANA. So in BW for HANA, if you open SAP GUI, I'll just give you an example of CDS view data sources. So if you go to RSA1, in RSA1, you go to the standard content, BI content, your BI content, and in BI content, you will be able to see those CDS view based data sources. Okay, so that's the one major difference between on HANA and for HANA. There is no CDS view based data sources, and those data sources are no longer there in RSA5. Those data sources you will find in here. If you come to data source, expand the tree, okay, go to select objects, and all the data sources which starts with CDS view, which are based on CDS view, will start with 0i. So if you just say 0i, all these data sources which you will find with 0i are your CDS view based data sources. Okay, the underlying CDS view will be can be found in S4 HANA, but the data source based on that you will find in BW for HANA. And these data sources, all these are the new types of data sources not available in on HANA at all. So you will not be able to leverage the CDS views which are there in S4 HANA.
Devanshu,
yes.
One question. Like, then how do we reconcile the data? Say, suppose we face some issues.
Yeah.
We need to reconcile. Like what we used to do in earlier cases, we used to go back to RSA5 and we used to, RSA3, we used to check the data, how the extraction is happening and all. And we were able to reconcile the data. But in this case, how do we do that reconciliation?
So see, for CDS views, right, you will first create a CDS view or you will use the CDS view. Now, the way you can reconcile the data is just right click on the CDS view and say display data or display preview. That will give you the data preview from the CDS itself. Now, if that CDS is based on further CDS, then you can go to that particular CDS and then do a data preview, and then you can see that at which level what data is coming. So let me give you an example. So if you are on S4 HANA, okay, I have not added S4 HANA, so let me add S4 HANA here. So I'll add a project, and S4 HANA I'll go for ABAP project because I'm not using the BW embedded BW there. So I'll just use the S4 HANA, this one. Let me log in there. I'll show you how you can check the data preview from a CDS view. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm in S4 HANA. I've logged in within Eclipse. Now here, I'll go to CDS view which I have created. So let me do a find. Okay. So say, or let me take a standard CDS view. Okay. So standard CDS view will start with I underscore, which are the interface CDS views. So say, for example, I want to do sales, maybe sales contract or sales contract item or sales header. Let me see. No, sales header is not there, I think. No. Let me take this one, sales analytics cube, data definition. This is a CDS view. Okay. So say, for example, your CDS view, the underlying CDS view for your data source is this one. Okay. Now you want to see what is the data preview from this CDS view. You want to analyze the data before even it goes to BW. So for that, you can easily do a right click and you can say open with, and you can say data preview. So that is your first thing. You have to check that the data preview, okay, it is based on some parameters. So it's asking some parameters. So if you give the parameter name, then you can do the data preview. Let me find my data sources, sorry, my CDSs which I created. I'll show you there. ZSD, I think we created some. Yeah, maybe this one. I'll show you. ZSD sales VBKD. So this is a data. So this is a CDS, very simple CDS view, which is taking the data from VBKD and doing inner join with the text table. So this CDS view, if you want to check the data, you can right click and you can say open with data preview. So you will be able to see that at this level, what is the data coming for my different fields. Okay, that's possible. Say, for example, this is a complex CDS view, not a simple one. Let's go back to the standard one. Now, this is based on further CDS views. These are the underlying CDS views from which this main CDS view is taking data. Now, you want to check whether the data is coming properly from this CDS view or not. Say, for example, you saw that there's a shipping point data has an issue. So you have to now troubleshoot that shipping point data is giving proper data or not. So you will go here, okay, navigate to, go to F3. You will open that particular CDS view. And once you open that CDS view, you will see what's happening. And from that CDS view also, if you want to do data preview, then you can say open with data preview. And at that particular CDS view, you can check what data is coming. So there are different tools given for the CDS views also. In order for you to troubleshoot, in order for you to debug the CDS views. So if you have data sources, in the data sources for CDS views, similarly, you can debug where is the problem and why the data is not coming as expected. So don't worry. Don't think that if SAP has shifted to CDS view, you cannot debug the CDS view or you cannot find the root cause. There are no tools. There are multiple tools available for a CDS view. If you right click here, you can see here there are multiple tools here, or in the CDS view itself, you can see if you want to see the definition of CDS view, you just press the F2. It will also show you key fields. It will show you the client handling annotations are there or not, how the client is handling, session variable is used or not. So there are multiple tools available for a CDS view. For example, for this CDS view, the main one, let me show you so you can say open with dependency analyzer. Okay. So if you want to see that this CDS view is based on what other CDS view, those CDS view are based on what tables at the end. All that is given in the dependency tree. So for example, you can see that this is the SQL view which gets generated from the CDS view. It is based on another SQL view, and finally these are the tables where the data is coming from. And then this is a second CDS view of SQL view which is generated from CDS view, again the tables. So the entire dependency tree will be shown to you. So there are multiple tools available for CDS views where you can check and analyze and troubleshoot the problem. Don't worry, when we will discuss the CDS views, we will discuss more on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. I have few questions related to our topics today. So
yes,
can I go ahead and ask?
Yes. Yes.
So you said BW4 should be on 2.2 when we are using HANA 2.2.
No, BW4 2.0 should be on HANA 2.0. BW4 1.0 can be on both 1.0 HANADB and 2.0 HANADB.
Okay.
Devanshu?
So which is mandatory? BW4 2.2 is mandatory?
No, see, please don't get confused between HANADB version and BW for HANA version. So as I told you, let me go back to the architecture here. 1 second. Yeah, there you go. Application server has its own version. HANADB has its own version. And there has to be compatibility between the versions. So what I mentioned is, if your application server is BW for HANA 1.0, then HANADB can be 1.0 or 2.0. But if your BW for HANA is 2.0 application server, that can only sit on top of HANA 2.0, not on 1.0. Okay. So mandatory, if you're talking about mandatory DB version, 2.0 has mandatory DB version, not 1.0. 1.0 you can make it on any DB, 1 or 2.
Got it. And the next question is...
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Devanshu. This is Sushant. I have one question. There is recently Mr. Suresh asked the differences between the BW on HANA and for HANA.
Yes.
So, as point of end user, if for example any organization using SAP BW from 3.0 to BW on HANA, so what the difference I can sell to them? So for example, with we upgraded to 7 version, there is a drastic change in the end product, in Bex analyzer. So same way, how can I convince to end user or the mass user?
That's what I told you, right? Those were the points we discussed. Let me go back again. And these are transformational change. These are not small changes. Okay. So what are the transformational changes? Transformational changes is CDS view based data sources. You cannot use in BW on HANA.
Again, Devanshu, what I'm saying, what are these changes are the modeling level changes. I'm speaking of the reporting level. So like they are using analysis office in SAP BW on HANA also, and now also they are using on SAP BW on
for HANA.
Yeah, for HANA. So what reporting level changes they can see?
Reporting level changes, they won't see much. There is not much change at the reporting level. There are tools which can easily connect to for HANA versus on HANA. For example, SAC. SAP Analytics Cloud is seamlessly and very tightly integrated with BW for HANA, but on HANA, not so much. So if your client is going for new tools like SAC, Power BI, and other industry leading tools, it is better integrated with for HANA compared to on HANA. That is the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, if you just talk about the interface, like analysis for Office, Excel interface, your Webby or your Lumira or your SSE, there is not much change in that interfaces.
Okay. Sorry, I would like to tell one more point on the same thing.
Sure.
There is a simplification of objects that makes the projects faster. If you want to complete a project, earlier it used to take 1 year. So now with the simplification of objects, you don't need 1 year. Maybe less than 6 months you can complete the implementation. So that's a value add for the clients.
Correct. That's true. So your project duration will be lessened because now you don't have to deal with multiple objects. Your 1 or 2 objects will solve most of your purposes. It's just that you have to play around with the settings of those objects. Based on that setting, it can act as an info cube versus a write optimized DSO versus a standard DSO. So yes.
Yeah. I just want to put one more point here.
Administration work and everything will be reduced. Maybe your DLM, whatever they're monitoring, it's all reduced now. They don't, and reconciliation efforts, like we had multiple
and the performance will be faster as well, because more code pushed down, more features are now the OLAP. Previously the OLAP manager features, now they are more and more pushed down in BW for HANA to 100 database. And then your AMDP based scripts. So in the transformation, you can use AMDP script, which will even make the rules, your complex routines, to be run very fast, because now it is running in the HANA DB. So yeah, there are more changes on the modeling side, in the backend side. In the front end side, there is not much change. The only change I can think of is the new tools, or the SAP tools like SAC and all. They are very much and very tightly integrated with BW for HANA compared to previous versions. Okay. All right, guys. So it's 11:28. I'm just going to take a couple of more questions, and then we will stop the session for today.
Dev,
I have few questions as well.
Just one thing to end the before conversation. So from a selling standpoint, SSC is the only only area where we can sell, because business users may not be interested in modeling and all that, right? So that's a valid point, isn't it?
No, but see, okay, SSC is definitely a strong point, agreed. But how about CDS views? See, business users who are using S4 HANA will definitely be interested in using the same CDS views for BW also, right? So that they can do reconciliation easily. So in that case, if you want, because they are getting used to embedded analytics. Whoever is using S4 HANA, they are getting used to embedded analytics, and they are getting familiar with CDS views. Same technology, if you can use in BW and show them the report on top of them, definitely they will say that yes, this is a better approach than again creating a data source or a custom data source and then doing the reporting there. Then ODP, right? ODP framework. Suppose if you have your boards team in your company, you have your boards team, your Informatica team. Previously, they could not use the ODP framework. Similarly, now the new framework ODP, which is also the default, BW can also use it. So these are certain strong points for BW for HANA along with SSC, I would say.
So can I take a few minutes?
Thank you.
Please?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So the next thing, what I would like to ask is regarding the corporate memory. It's optional, right? We can use it or we don't have. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I'm saying corporate memory is not optional, I would say. Corporate memory you must have, because corporate memory will be used when you will face issues in the data consistency. If the user reports that 2019 fiscal year data does not look good, please reload the data. In those cases, your corporate memory will come very handy. So I would not say it is optional, but yes, it is not a part of the daily flow. That means your corporate memory will be loaded on a daily basis, but from the corporate memory to your data warehousing layer, that flow will not happen on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. I still have few doubts on that. Maybe when
Sure. Go ahead. No. Ask your question. Ask your question.
And the next thing is related to BW for Cont and BW for Cont B.
Yeah.
So if I have entire system leveraging custom objects, then I don't need BW for Cont, right?
That's right.
Okay. And regarding the licenses pack, I've seen a screenshot wherein it shows BW accelerator. When we have BW sitting on HANA, why do we need BW accelerator?
Good question. Yeah. That probably is a mistake in the screenshot. Accelerator is no longer there. Where did we discuss that?
License.
Yeah.
Licenses.
Where is that?
You're in batch one, probably.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you for that. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, you're right. Even I have seen that accelerator. Yeah, there you go. BW accelerator, right? So BW accelerator is no longer there. BW accelerator is obsolete. BW accelerator was used in on HANA and 7, not even on HANA. Actually, 7.3, 7.0, 7.3, we used to have accelerator. But after the advent of SAP HANA, accelerator is obsolete. So you're right. This is probably an older diagram. This has to be updated. Accelerator should not be there. Correct.
Okay. And the next question is nearline storage.
Yes.
At what see, we have corporate layer, and if you are leveraging corporate layer for OD, some consideration, then should we go for nearline storage? In that case, can we reconcile it as is, or we will be building some reports on top of that? And should we have nearline storage only for the past years?
Okay.
And do we have license required for that too?
Okay, good question. So nearline storage concept has been replaced with DTO concept, data tiering optimization. Okay, hot, cold, and warm data are now a part of DTO, data tiering optimization. Data tiering optimization needs a separate license. That means it is there, I think, as part of REAB, if I'm not wrong. Or maybe full use. So we have to check that. And it's there in the diagram, but it definitely needs a separate license, data tiering optimization. Once you have that license, you will be able to add extension nodes in the overall nodes. If you have 2 nodes, third node has to be added in the hardware, and now those will be extension nodes. This is a basis activity. Basis has to add the extension nodes. Once you do that, then you can transfer your warm data to the disk, and that disk will be highly optimized Sybase IQ disk, which is the extension node. So you will transfer the data there, keep your hot data in RAM, and keep your cold data in either Hadoop based systems or Sybase IQ systems, which is your cold data store. You can do that. If you don't have DTO, still by default, your inbound table and your changelog table are marked as high displacement tables. That means they are marked for early unload. There's a concept of early unload, meaning that if there's a problem in the memory, if there's a problem in the RAM, your changelog tables and your inbound tables will be immediately sent to the disk. That is by default, the configuration is there in the BW. But if you want to have a special place for the warm data, and you don't want that only when problem comes then displays, you don't want that. You want send my warm data to extension node, that means disk. Keep my hot data in RAM and keep my cold data in Hadoop or Sybase IQ or somewhere else. Then that is now a part of DTO, data tiering optimization. So if you go to the ADSO, there is something called data tiering properties. And in that, you will mention the warm store, which is the extension nodes. Okay. This is not same as your NLS, nearline storage. Okay. Cold store used to be NLS. Now it is called the DTO cold store. And for that, you'll have to do a Hadoop connection or a Sybase IQ connection or something else. And then on the extension nodes, you will have warm data. This is when you want to keep the data separate. But even if you don't have that, what SAP has given is something called active non-active data concept. Active non-active data means that the data which is frequently used in reporting, that is active data, and data which is not frequently used is non-active data. And that is marked with early unload. So if you go to monitor, there is something called active non-active data monitor. In that, you will see, you have to go to the details, okay? And if I just give maybe object type as info area, my info area, I'll just give. So it will show you all the objects from my info area. And here you can see that all your inbound tables of your ADSO, your changelog tables of your ADSO are marked with early unload flag. That means that as soon as there is a problem in the memory, those tables will be sent to disk immediately.
So same concept as delta merge, is it?
No, this is not same concept as delta merge. Delta merge is a completely different concept.
Okay.
Delta merge means for a column table, you have two stores in the backend, main store and delta store. Merging the data from delta store to main store is the process of delta merge. Okay. This is called managing the problem in the memory. If there's a problem in the memory, your inbound table, which will end with 1, they are marked with early unload already. That means as soon as there's a memory hog, there's a problem in the memory, it's getting full, it's close to 100%, immediately these tables will be sent back to the disk. That feature is already there in BW for HANA. But there's another concept of DTO.
We had unload, load, unload.
Yes, correct. In the HANA, it's the same concept as load, unload, right? But this is not delta merge. Delta merge is separate.
So, my mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
And last question. Sorry, guys. Last question. I will not ask any other questions. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. It's 11:40. We are way over time. But okay, last question I'll take. Then we'll close for today.
No, somebody was asking my last question. Maybe
No. Let's give someone else some chance. Okay. Somebody else has any questions? Any other questions?
Devanshu, I have one question. For the BI content, we have seen the BW content, but what about the different functional area for CDS content? Like, do we have any content for different operational reports for standard CDS views?
Yes. So you have to go to the BI content file, which I showed you. Okay. There, every module specific, like business area specific, you will see if the CDS view has been given or not. See, CDS view based data sources, CDS view based reports, not CDS view based reports, CDS view based data sources and the composite provider ADSO based on that data source and the query based on those composite providers. They are all part of the BI content. It's there, but not for all modules. Gradually, SAP is moving from the old function module based data sources to new CDS view data sources. So if you don't find it for some modules, don't be surprised because they're evolving it. Right now, I could only see for plant maintenance. I think they have released, and I think 1 or 2 more. But for the remaining ones like SD, FI, purchasing, inventory, you still might see the old ones. Gradually, SP5, SP6, when they will release more, then you'll be able to see more. But if you want to see what are those, this is your document to refer.
Okay, and this is for BW only. But for if I need some operational report in like only CDS view, only S4 HANA. Is there any other document?
Oh, is there any other document for embedded analytics? I have to search for that. Yeah, definitely there will be. I think there is. 1 second, let me see.
But in S1 also, like we have standard CDS views.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm showing.
Okay. That is the thing.
Yes. I think, there is a link you can go to for discovering the CDS views from S4. I have that link. 1 second. Build for HANA, CDS, CDS views. Let's see. Yeah, so SAP definitely has that link, and CDS views you can see for asset management, for finance, for human resource, for manufacturing. This is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
The list of standard CDS views for each functional area. So this is a link. I will give this link to you. Probably I'll mention in the material.
Chat.
Material, or I'll put it in the chat for everyone as well.
No.
Yeah, so
Dipanshu,
definitely SAP has it.
You were trying to tell about DTO and someone stopped there. Can you finish that?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me finish this one first. So this is the list of standard CDS views. Okay, DTO. So I'm saying that if you don't want this to happen, that means you don't want to manage your RAM only when the problem comes. Proactively, you want to transfer all the data, warm data, meaning your inbound table and change log data, to disk, and only keep the active data table and the most frequently used data in the RAM. Then you have to go for DTO. And there you will also configure the cold store data, meaning your third-party connection to store your cold data or frozen data rather.
So in DTO, like I see like hot as a default selection, right?
Yes, correct. DTO hot is the default section. So I have a PowerPoint which will give you all the details of the DTO. Okay, if you are interested in that, I think it should be there in the material. If it's not there, yeah, there you go. Data tiering optimization. So this is a different concept than the previous NLS and IQ. So you can see that in the DTO, data tiering optimization, you have to install a separate node, which are called extension nodes, and then hot data, warm data, and cold data, you can segregate. So you go through that. This is for native HANA, this is for BW for HANA, and this is the ECC on HANA. So there are different solutions, but now the default is becoming DTO, data tiering optimization.
Hey, Devanshu, I have a quick admin type of question. So the links that you're talking about, did you add those to a specific folder or document?
I will. Okay. See, the link which I gave for the CDS views, I will add that in the document.
And the document you're talking about is, where would that be? Is that in material or question?
Yeah, it is in material. So you see here, I'll show you. So in material, there is topic specific material folder. Okay.
Yeah.
Go there. You will find all the material which I'm talking about. You will find the BI content, which I showed you. You will find BW for HANA versus BW on HANA. If you want to know, this is the BI content, which will give you the standard LSA++ content. You have DTO, all that. Whatever I'm discussing, I will put in the material specific folder.
I got it. So you'll add it to the topic material,
yes,
not the question and answer section.
Correct.
And then the other thing, the document that you are going by for the presentation here.
Yes.
Is that shared with us? I know.
Of course. See, I think you missed the initial part where I explained that in the material, you will have, sorry, not material, in the batch 2 weekend folder, every session will have a folder specific to that session. So let me show you what we did in batch 1.
I got it. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, session 1, 2, 3, 4. Within that, you will have two formats, the PDF format and the OneNote format of whatever we are discussing. I'm going to put it there.
Okay, so that's not added yet. You'll add it.
Yes, after the session. See, what happens is during the session, I might add something. I might write something, right? While we are discussing. That's why I have not added it. I will add it after the class.
Okay.
All right, guys. So I think we should end it here. I know that you have a lot of questions. So please feel free to create your specific Excel sheet here in the questions and answers. Create your Excel sheet with your name. Tomorrow I'll log in early and then I will try to answer that. Okay.
Thank
All right. Sorry, I have to have a hard stop here. My apologies. It's way over time. So I'll stop.